Labdien! Es runāšu gan angliski, man jāatvainojās, jo es esmu pārliecināta, ka tulki labāk zinās pareizo terminoloģiju dažādiem nekā es varbūt latviešu valodā. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be present at this event. It's very kind of personally important project for me because I have been at the beginning of its initiation and conception of the idea, and it's a very interesting time when we are starting to gather all the lessons learned and see results of this hard work for over 4 years. In the first session we heard a lot about IP in Latvia, how it went, what was lessons learned from it, and also about overall big project which concerns of 18 IPs pilots in different member states. I guess probably a lot of people would like to know what is Commission's take on this pilot, and therefore I will focus a bit informing you on Commission's thoughts at the 4th year of this piloting. First of all, from DG Regio perspective, when we assessed the status of the project and so far achievements, it was considered at the board of directors of DG Regio, and it was agreed that this Integrity Pact pilot project was worth the experiment, and it has provided with many lessons which should be used for improving governance of the projects or systems run in countries for EU funds. And it's also provided by today with proven direct benefits what Integrity Pact 2 can bring, and demonstrated wider positive impacts. From another angle, I think previous speakers didn't mention, but I want to mention that in 2019, the Integrity Pact received Ombudsman Award for Good Administration, and this is a very respectable award, and it's very high recognition for the project and all participants. I think that's very well deserved, and it was very kind of appreciated by all who put a lot of efforts on the grounds in order to succeed with this piloting. Also, it's worth to mentioning that at the G20 summit last year, under Japanese presidency, Integrity Pacts was included in compendium of good practice for infrastructure development. The compendium of good practices promote integrity and transparency in infrastructure development. That's the name of the document. And that means that also it's recognized quite widely, worldwide, as a good practice. Of course, when we talk about it, I think probably it's worth mentioning that Integrity Pact 2 is not a solution for all and everything and in all cases. However, from Commission's perspective, even with this current state of lessons, what we have seen, and results, what we have seen, and with good recognition of the tool, our kind of position is that Integrity Pact should be used also for the post-2020, for cohesion policy, where appropriate. And here I think one should consider for what type of projects, cost efficiency, importance and sensitivity of the project. But that was already, I think, mentioned by previous speakers, and I think it's clear. But as such, we consider that this tool is there to stay and it should be used. Another thing which was already mentioned in the previous session was, I think, tool demonstrated value added of civil society and how important role civil society can play in improving efficiency of cohesion policy investments on the ground. And this is something what inside the Commission we are now considering and working a lot, how to improve citizen engagement in cohesion policy. I think that probably it's not a surprise for anyone that currently we are living in kind of global trend of distrust to authorities and lowest ever statistical trust in public administration. Actually, I yesterday read a blog post from the OECD, and they were making reference of golden age of public disenchantment and distrust, and they were saying that according to all statistics, this has reached historical heights of past years, and they were making reference to Gallup World Poll 2018 and suggested that trust in governments in OECD countries has reached the lowest level before it was been. And then they were quoting that widely there is 70% in Switzerland and Luxembourg, and lowest countries mentioned in the article was 20% or less in Greece and Latvia. And I think it's also kind of demonstrate where we are. I'm not saying that this means that authorities are not performing well or something is wrong how things are done. I think it's a general problem of administration and how administration communicates, and that old methods or previous methods probably don't work anymore, or they are not fit for purpose. And therefore, from Commission side, we launched kind of debate, and we had a big conference on 6th of February, which was called for close to 500 people on the topic of citizen engagement in cohesion policy. I strongly advertise, if you have not heard about this event, please Google it and look all the videos of speakers, and also some presentations and some follow-up reports are available on the website. Lots of good information and inspirational speeches, good examples of good citizen engagement was discussed at the conference. And here from Commission side also we are thinking how we can assist or help administrations in member states to get to know these good practices, where, for example, Integrity Pact could be one of practices, but there is other out there. It's just that I think we need to facilitate awareness of these practices. And at the conference, our commissioner announced our new pilot initiative, what we are launching together with OECD, that DG Regio will fund OECD help to interested authorities to do some pilots of citizen engagement for cohesion policy. And maybe I should just make a remark that here we don't intend that administration now put their documents aside, stop doing what they are doing, and then they ask citizens to do their job. I think this is not what we mean. I think it's more about thinking about new ways of communicating and engaging with citizens through civil society or through people's assemblies or participatory budgeting. There are a lot of new methods already tested, not probably on a big scale, but around, and I think it's worth considering which one of those could be maybe useful to try also in Latvia. Because when we have these kind of very low statistics, in this kind of environment also for cohesion policy, when EU invests so much money, but people still think that this money is wasted, I think this is not a good signal. I think we need to do additional efforts to get people on board. And here I wanted to maybe use some of the words of the speakers during conference that said that we are used to do lot of things for the people, but we should start doing things with the people. And I think this is kind of good summary of the things, because nowadays society feel that they are patronized by authorities, that authorities are saying that they know everything better, and they implement how they see it, and they somehow don't take into consideration people's opinion. And I think this is not how it should be, so we should look for new ways. And as I mentioned, that this one new activity is with OECD, we also are in preparing a bit of pilot project also on where we could plan to give a grant to a few NGOs who, from their side, could implement some new ways of projects on citizen engagement for cohesion policy, and maybe there will be some other activities, but we, from Commission side, we are looking at ways how we can support authorities, because this is a new topic, and I think we will all need to learn new ways how to do it better. I will stop here. Thank you.